One of the first violin concertos I heard was the Tchaikovsky Concerto. And of course, when I was a young kid listening to it, I'm like, how is this possible? So many notes, and it's like 40 minutes. I was like, how is this humanly possible for anyone to do? Of course, fast forward years later, I think I was about 16 when I first learned the concerto. And it sort of does feel like this mountain that you're looking up, knowing that you have to climb to the top of it. But eventually you get there and you look down and you're like, whoa, I came all this way. It takes a bit of patience to digest it from the musician's standpoint. But I think for an audience member listening to Tchaikovsky, I find it very satisfying to play this and listen to this extremely expressive, emotional music that, I mean, it kind of requires you to just wear your heart on your sleeve. And that's one of the things that I enjoy most about music in general. So, I really enjoy being able to just completely pour my heart out, to the listeners and with my collaborators. So I think Tchaikovsky really offers an opportunity to do that. Well, the opening of the Tchaikovsky Concerto is, in a similar way to the Mendelssohn actually, there's really not much of an orchestral introduction. You have a few sort of fragments of sentences from the orchestra, and then the violin comes in completely solo, unaccompanied. It's such an expressive opening. I think when you're playing unaccompanied music in general, but especially in the context of a concerto, obviously the violin is more of a melodic instrument than a harmonic instrument, meaning we normally play one, maybe two notes at a time, right? So it's really all about the intervals and what's happening in between the notes that really brings out the sort of emotional significance. So for example, the very first two notes for me are, how to describe it? It's almost jarring. A half step like that for me is always sort of dissonant. There's not a whole lot of space between the notes. If you were to play them next to each other, it'd be very, very crunchy. Those are the two notes that I begin with. So it's really about finding as much sort of life and magic in that tiny, tiny little space that then opens up to this really beautiful sort of arpeggiated proclamation, really. So. It really is all about the violin in the very opening of the concerto, which on one hand is very exciting, and on the other hand can be a little nerve-wracking because you're by yourself. You can't hide behind the orchestra, but I think that's one of the things that makes it really fun. One of the sort of fun but obviously very challenging bits is in the cadenza. Again, a moment where the violin shines completely on its own. So it's in the middle of the cadenza, and it's this. It's written as a sort of scale, so it looks like, it's not really marked as a glissando, but you have to play it that way just because the notes come in such quick succession. And it's one of the places that I still find very challenging, actually. It's very easy, especially coming from such a high register and on kind of an awkward, you're on awkward strings, these middle strings. They're not the most bright and vibrant. They're not the most sort of dark and rich, so you really have to kind of get into the string in a way. And it requires great relaxation to be able to sort of just cascade down with the left hand like that. So one of the things that I like to do in practice is actually completely, like cut it down to a quarter tempo. Just play it in super slow motion. For me, it helps to actually hear every single double stop in the scale down. Otherwise, it's very easy for it to just sound like. But it's one of those places that I always have to come back to and make sure that everything's sort of working, and again that I'm as relaxed as I can be, because it's very easy to sort of squeeze here, and you lose control, you lose definition of all of those little notes. So I try to almost vibrate my way down, because it requires some looseness and some flexibility in the left-hand fingers. So for anyone listening who is sort of struggling to get through this area, I'm with you. We'll get through it together, slow it down, keep it relaxed, and it'll eventually come together.